The paintings are 36,000 years old, older than agriculture, writing in every empire come. The cave was sealed for 20,000 years, footprints and torch marks still perfectly preserved. Nobody lived here, they came only to paint, deep in darkness, for unknown reasons. The painter was biologically identical to you, same brain, same hands, same need to create. In 1994, 3 cave explorers were hiking through the limestone cliffs of southern France when they felt something that stopped them cold. Cold air, coming from inside a rock face. They dug, cleared away rubble that had been sitting undisturbed for longer than agriculture has existed. And when they finally broke through when they pointed their lights into the darkness beyond, they saw a world that no human being had looked at for 20,000 years. The walls were covered, floor to ceiling. Hundreds of paintings horses, rhinos, cave lions, mammoths, bears rendered with a skill and an understanding of perspective and motion that should not have been possible. Bison drawn with 8 legs to suggest movement. Animals overlapping each other in layers that created depth. A charging rhino with a horn so precisely observed it matched species we know from fossil records alone. This was the Chauvet Cave, and it broke every assumption scientists had about when human creativity began. Here is the first thing that should stop you. These paintings are 36,000 years old. Not a few thousand. Not 10,000. 36,000. To put that in perspective, the Egyptian pyramids are 4,500 years old. Agriculture began around 12,000 years ago. Writing was invented 5,000 years ago. The Chauvet paintings are older than all of it combined, and yet they show a sophistication, a technical mastery, an artistic intention that rivals anything produced in the centuries since. The people who painted these walls were not primitive. They were not fumbling toward art. They arrived here already knowing exactly what they were doing. Here is the second thing. The cave was sealed by a rockfall approximately 20,000 years ago, which means that for 20,000 years, through the entire rise of agriculture, through every empire, every religion, every war, every discovery that defines human history, these paintings sat in total darkness, in total silence, untouched, unseen, exactly as their creators left them. The torches the painters used left carbon deposits on the cave floor that are still there. Footprints, actual human footprints, pressed into soft clay, are still preserved exactly where someone stood and looked at these same walls, 36,000 years ago. The bones of cave bears that wandered in and died are still scattered on the ground, covered in a thin layer of calcite that took thousands of years to form. Nothing moved. Nothing changed. For 20,000 years, the Chauvet Cave was a sealed time capsule, holding the oldest confirmed artistic masterpiece in human history. Here is the third thing, and this is the one that keeps researchers awake. Why did they come here? The cave shows no evidence of long-term habitation. No cooking hearths. No sleeping areas. No storage pits. People did not live in Chauvet Cave. They came here specifically to paint. They carried torches in from outside. They mixed pigments, charcoal for black, iron oxide for red, with water or animal fat, producing paint that has survived 36 millennia. They climbed to reach high sections of wall. They worked in areas so deep inside the cave that no natural light could possibly reach them. This was not casual. This was not accidental. This was an enormous, deliberate undertaking, requiring planning, skill, resources, and coordination, all in complete darkness, deep inside a mountain, for an audience that may have been only the painters themselves. Archaeologist Jean Klotz, one of the world's leading experts on prehistoric cave art, has argued that sites like Chauvet were likely sacred spaces, places where the boundary between the human world and something beyond it was believed to be thin. The flickering torchlight in a cave makes painted animals appear to move. In the dancing shadows, a bison might seem to breathe. A charging lion might seem to leap. The cave itself becomes a kind of theater, immersive, overwhelming, alive. Whether that was the intention, we cannot say with certainty. What we can say is that the people who made these images were not simply decorating walls. They were doing something that mattered to them enormously, in a place they considered special, using skills that took years to develop. Here is the fourth thing, and perhaps the most profound. These paintings were made by people who are biologically identical to you. Same brain size, same cognitive capacity, same emotional range. The same prefrontal cortex that lets you plan ahead, imagine the future, feel empathy, create art. The gap between them and you is not a gap of capability. It is only a gap of time. The person who stood in that cave 36,000 years ago and drew a charging rhino by torchlight, who mixed pigment with fat, who climbed a rock face to reach a high section of wall, who spent hours in darkness making something beautiful for reasons we will never fully understand. That person was you. Different clothes, different language, different world. But the same mind. The same hands. The same need to make something that outlasts a single life. When the rockfall sealed Chauvet Cave 20,000 years ago, it did something extraordinary. It preserved not just a set of paintings. It preserved a moment. A specific night, 36,000 years ago, when a human being stood in the dark with a torch and a handful of pigment and decided that what they saw in their mind was worth the effort of putting on a wall. We opened that moment in 1994. And for the first time in 20,000 years, someone was there to see it. The torch marks are still on the ceiling. The footprints are still in the clay. They were waiting.